Welcome everybody. We've actually got quite a lot going on in Australia at the moment. There's a lot of enthusiasm for OMOP. We started our chapter last year with these goals to convert at least 5 Australian data sets to Atlas Hades OMOP sites and make vocabulary mapping available in open source format. And we're in the midst of doing this. Another goal was to participate in 2 to 3 international research studies and initiate 1 network study. We're on track for achieving that goal as well. And the third goal was to contribute the data quality tool White Bandicoot to OHDSI. We're also in the process of doing that. We've got a version 1, which we're currently asking another research group to test. So that's the White Bandicoot quality tool. OMOP mapping in Australia, there's we wanted to do 5, but there's quite a lot of mapping happening at the moment. So there's a lot more mapping, there's a lot more conversions going on than 5. So conversion of secondary care data. This is my project. This is a nationally funded project. And we're working with hospitals in Queensland, Victoria, New South Wales and South Australia to convert their EMR data sets to OMOP. I talked about it earlier in the presentation. So we're working with Queensland, which has a large Cerner database. Queensland's quite a large state and they've got a centralised Cerner repository with approximately 3 million patient records in there. So that's one we're working on. We're just starting that up at the moment. We've started the technical group and we're actually recruiting somebody in Queensland an analyst to work on that. We're also working with Austin Health in Melbourne and Western Health. They're using Cerner. And we're also looking at APAC. APAC has 4 installations in Melbourne, and one of the installations is the Peter MacCallum Cancer Centre. So I was talking earlier about genomic data, and they're very interested in genomics in OMOP. We've recently, within the last week, we've had some more funding for conversion of primary care data. So we're working on Indigenous data in Australia, and this is going to be converted to OMOP data. So we've put a link up here to the press release from the government where we got some funding. It wasn't our group; it was a group in Queensland, but we contributed to the writing of the grant, and we will be helping with the OMOP conversions. We're also converting our primary care data at the moment. So as I said earlier in the presentation, we work with general practice. We've got 120 general practices that contribute to an enterprise data warehouse. And we're currently in the process of converting that data. In fact, we've just finished the ETL and we're in the process of testing it in Atlas, and we're validating it on the hypertension query that I think other groups have used around Asia-Pac. So David, who is a data analyst who's working on this project with me, he's currently running that as we speak, and he's also in the call. So again, very active there, and it's very exciting. We're at the stage where we actually get to look at the data in Atlas rather than talk about mappings, which is nice. We're also doing a structured audit of all the OMOP mappings in Australia. Nicole's leading this. So what we want to do is have a registry of everybody who's working in OMOP in Australia. And we want to know at what stage they're at. Are they just thinking about OMOP? Are they implementing, or are they at the stage where they've actually got data to analyse and they can view it in a dashboard in Atlas? So we want to know where the maturity of OMOP in Australia. So Nicole's sending out a questionnaire on that. So that's quite exciting. So we'll know exactly what's going on in Australia. Oh yes, I just wanted to mention our colleagues at University of New South Wales have a paper out. It's in pre-press at the moment. and they're looking at extract, transform, load in OMOP. And what they've done is they've written a tool for writing the ETL logic for OMOP conversions. So the idea behind this is there's a YAML file which contains the information about the tables and the databases, and you can feed this into the tool, and the tool will interpret this and produce the SQL that's required to do the conversions. This paper is available in pre-press, and the tool is actually available on their website, so you can go in and have a look at that. So that's quite exciting, and we're gonna test that tool with them on some of the conversions that we're doing. Yes, international collaboration. We're participating in studies, international studies. So OHDSI APAC, research study on hypertension. We're participating in the IBD characterization study as well.
Sorry, I didn't prepare any slides. I just give a brief update. I don't know, last couple of months is kind of running slow. So we had a reorganization, as I mentioned at the beginning of the year. We are now reorganized OHDSI China into 3 different big groups rather than those small working groups. So the 3 groups are the methods and the software tool group, and then the clinical study group, as well as the education and engagement group. So for the methods and the tool group, we are mainly working on Chinese vocabulary infrastructure. So we developed a mapping tool which will allow us to review mapping of Chinese term to the SNOMED English term. And we have recruited, I think, about 6 persons volunteered. So that group is actually studying, doing the mapping from the Chinese ICD-10, I think, to SNOMED right now. And it's just starting. We're testing like how much time will take. So Mui's team already finished the 3-digit one, and I think we're trying to do more detailed one. We estimate about, I forgot the exact number, 5,000 or 8,000 turns. So it will take a while before we can map everything manually, but the tool will help make it more efficient. So basically for each Chinese turn, you will give a list of candidate turn, then they can review and decide one. So that's one of the major things on the methods and the tool group. On the clinical study group, they are mainly trying to come up a list of data resources actually converted to CDM in China, and they are planning on identify 2 studies. And one suggestion we had is about just look at those published study from the OHDSI in the US, European, or other country, and trying to replicate those study in China. But I don't think it has been finalized, because still relative limited hospital has converted their data to OMAP CDN. And on the education engagement and the education side, I think we are planning on, so we used to have an annual meeting for the China chapter every year, but we stopped. Last year we did this APAC meeting, which was supposed to be in Shanghai physically, but we moved to online. So this year, since COVID is still sort of not completely gone yet, so we are not planning a big meeting. What we are planning is I forgot the name of, there's a major one of the medical conference, I think in December, or is it November or December? I couldn't remember exact time. But we are hosting about a half-day session on OHDSI China that will serve as our sort of annual meeting for this year. And we'll probably open up the online session as well. So then Dr. Zhou at Zhongshan University, he is in charge of this engagement and training. So he just sent us a plan starting August. We are considering preparing for a kind of online training session once a month, trying to introduce all the different tools or project at OHDSI. So I think that's it. I think, yeah, I'll just stop here. So I know we have a bunch of other countries to go. Just shoot me an email or text me if you have any questions.
Yes, that's fine. Japanese now update. I have just 2 slides, and our action is mainly on monthly meeting. So we had 6 meetings now, and the thema these are listed below. OHDSI books and OHDSI papers introduction and USAGI introduction, and discussion of hands-on plan, but not realized yet. And drug mapping plan we discussed. And yesterday, we introduced the implementation procedure for OMOP environment, which is documented on GitHub. So we will try to use this this procedure in Japan. Second, it's other situation for vocabulary mapping and for drug condition laboratory test, and we had plan but not executed. So we are going to develop in later of this year. And second, fire entrainment. It is very important in Japan because the fire is now the engine in the info field. So our university, IUHW, has going to start project with fire implementer and HIS integrator. So we are going to make OMOP database via fire module. And the difficult one is the approach to data holders. 2 kinds of data holders. One is hospitals, but they need tagging system. They don't have engineers, so they have very easy to use software. So the current OHDSI tools are difficult to get to work for them. This is one problem. And aggregators, so they have their engineers, but they does their business for commercial use. So they need commercial framework to do almost things. So that's all.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Feng here from the National University of Singapore, and you may also call me Morning. I'm the co-chair for the OHDSI Singapore chapter. Compared to many of our colleagues in Asia Pacific, for example, South Korea, Singapore OHDSI chapter is very young. We were just set up as a formal chapter in the early 2020. But today still allow me to share with you the OHDSI related initiatives in Singapore. Interesting enough, the idea of setting up a Singapore OHDSI chapter kind of incubated in South Korea as well, in Seoul, in this lobby of the hotel, where I had a meeting with Professor Park and Professor Yun from the South Korea chapter. And thanks for sharing the experience in setting up the OHDSI chapter in Seoul and South Korea, and their government support of converting all their public institute data into OHDSI OMOP CDM, and of course, very inspired by the research outcome and the clinical outcome they managed to achieve. We decided to follow their path and join the OHDSI committee in Singapore then. Okay. After returning to Singapore, we started to conduct a few pilot studies. And one of such study is that we were working with a local hospital called the Kutik Park Hospital, working on a type 2 diabetes cohort of 5,000 patients. for the entire electronic medical records for this patient for their 5-year follow-ups, including their outpatients and inpatient records. And in addition to that, we also transfer a cohort of 10,000 type 2 diabetes patients from another hospital in Singapore called the National University Hospital here in Singapore. And same thing, we convert all their electronic medical record data to OMOP CDM, including both the outpatient and inpatient follow-ups over the last 5 years. Right. By converting these two cohort data from two different healthcare systems into the same OMOP CDM, we aim to demonstrate that through data standardization now at least allow us to do very easily across institute studies, at least just within Singapore. And also give you some background why we zoom into type 2 diabetes patients particularly. At the time, of course, it was before COVID, our Ministry of Health has actually declared a war against diabetes. And our country is still up to today, our country's public health focus to address the high prevalence of diabetes in our population, especially for Singapore. We are also seeing an aging population problem. And based on this chart that our School of Public Health in NUS have run a simulation. If at 2018, if our government didn't do anything, by 2050, a quarter of our population will be suffering from type 2 diabetes. So obviously, we would like to, we invested a lot more efforts and also resources in type 2 diabetes related research. And that's why we started the adopting OMOP with 2 diabetes cohort and demonstrating to the Healthcare Institute in Singapore through standardizing data to OMOP CDM, how now we can enable many clinical studies being done across these 2 institutes. And after that, we expand our effort to the electronic medical records in National University Hospital, our affiliated hospital. This time, not just focusing on the type 2 diabetes patients, but rather all the patients who check in to both our clinics, medical centers, and of course, our inpatient care. For the past 3 years, with over 500,000 encounters and when the project was first launched in 2019, October, up to now, we have already supported 120 cohort creations and let the physician quickly generate a cohort using the OMOP CDM, especially relying on the Atlas platform. Right, so as I mentioned, in early 2020, we formally set up the Singapore chapter. And here are the founding members, and here is our website as well. And along next to me, there's Dr. Niam Ki Yuan, who's the Group CTO of NUHS, who's our co-chair on the chapter as well. After the formalization of the chapter, we are very glad that we already finished a couple of studies and managed to have a couple of journal publications. First, our publications describing our ETL and also implementation process of OHDSI in Singapore has been accepted in the AMIA Applying Clinical Informatics Journal. And also we joined the APAC Hypertension study, which is the first ever network study we participated in, and that work has been submitted to the Lancet Digital Health. We hope to hear some news for that soon. Moving forward, right, we are also trying to lead a network study from Singapore as well. We are working very closely with the physicians in Singapore to design the study and to generate the codes for the cohort and data extractions. And later on, we'll definitely reach out to the forum to recruit any members in the network who are interested in the study to join us. And at the same time, we are also participating in our second network study with South Korea as well. And besides all these clinical studies ongoing, we are also in close discussions with our Ministry of Health. And after many rounds of discussions and sharing the promising outcomes, after we formed the OHDSI chapter and we experienced ourselves of converting our data to OMOP CDM, our Ministry of Health is very much convinced that OHDSI OMOP CDM will be the standard for our national data integration across different healthcare clusters. So our Ministry of Health is building a platform called Trust for multi-institute to exchange data in Singapore for research purposes. And for this effort, besides the Ministry of Health, we are also working with another organization in Singapore called AI Singapore, which is a government-funded AI sort of agency taking care of all the AI research in Singapore. And in particularly, we try to form a demonstration of a federated learning framework to be deployed in all the public institutes in Singapore. While if you are new to federated learning, the concept of federated learning is that instead of putting data into a centralized hub, which may lead to some security or data privacy issues, under the federated learning framework, we have a centralized hub just for the model. We distribute the model to the different sites, while no data is going to consolidate in one hub, while the model is distributed to different nodes. And at different nodes, the learning will happen locally, and then all the errors and weights will be feedback and consolidated in the central node just for the model, not the data. And then the model will learn over time from multiple sites without data centralization. In this sense, right? But to do that, we all see the needs for all the sites to standardize the data schema and also the data nomenclatures for all their data. And we find that OHDSI OMOP CDM is a perfect solution for such a framework. So working with AI Singapore, Smart Nation Singapore, and Ministry of Health, we are trying to roll out a program to convert our public institutes, hospitals, EMR data to OMOP CDM, and then to demonstrate the power of this federated learning framework. To do that, we need a lot more engineers, software engineers, or data engineers who are capable and trained, are able to help us with the ETL process from our EMR data to OMOP CDM. Currently, we only have a couple of institutes and only a handful of engineers in Singapore are able to do that. And therefore, we are also proposing a AI apprenticeship program where it's a 9-month program, while we hope to train up to 20 software engineers or data engineers in Singapore, focusing on the ETL process for OMOP CDM. And the program will include 2 months of formal training and then 7 months of on-site, helping the ETL process for all these healthcare institutes. And for there, we definitely need a lot more help from other chapters and then other institutes who have experience in this area. Therefore, we would like to encourage anyone that would like to join for this effort to reach out to us. And that will be the end of my sharing. As I mentioned, if anyone is interested to working with our chapter or invite us for any studies, do reach out to us. We were happy to be involved. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Seng Chan You from Korea, and please call me Chan. I'd like to present the regional update of Korean chapter of OHDSI. The major progress of Korean chapter would be the including more hospitals in Korea for the OHDSI network, and we converted the nationwide claim data owned by HERA into OMOP CDM. This is a very huge progress, I think, and so now we do have more than 60 million patients in hospitals data network, which is more than Korean actual number of the Korean population because there are duplication. And here data set, there are 56 million patients data from 2010 to 2019, and the data for 2020 will be converted in this year too. This is the first case first OMOP-CTM database, which represents the whole nation population. To my knowledge, not only the general physician's data, not only the hospital's data. The HIRA owns the data, claim data for primary, secondary, and tertiary hospital cares. So this is a really big data and represents the whole national medical practice. So and HIRA is very eager to conduct OHDSI network study. Until now, there are several errors in the HIRA's data set, but I believe that these errors or these problems will be solved soon. So I hope that more OHDSI network can be conducted using HIRA dataset or other Korean data network. And we are trying to support automatic CTM conversion for daily, weekly, or monthly conversion. So in 22 institutions, we are trying to apply this automatic conversion method. And we can see the number of the research using FilterNet is increasing now. So until now, about 500 researches are conducted. During the conversion process of HIRA dataset, we defined the vocabulary mapping for nationwide Korean vocabulary. So we defined the vocabulary mapping for nationwide dataset, and this will be made public soon. And I hope that this can be integrated into Athena, which is an official vocabulary system of OHDSI. Currently, we are trying to define the data quality check system in OHDSI Korea network. So we upgraded CTM inspection of Eden. We translated the languages into Korean, and we added several rules in this package. So we now recommend other institutions to conduct this package for their database, and recommend the results from the analysis. Another reinforcement of data quality using Atli Hill or data quality dashboard. We don't allow any error in Achilles heel in databases of Korean network, and we are trying to define the reference range of data quality checkpoints in the package.
Hello everyone, my name is Jason Hsu, and I'm one of the chair of OHDSI Taiwan chapter, and I am also a faculty at Taipei Medical University. Okay, let me share our regional update to you now. Taipei Medical University is an university located in Taipei, the capital of Taiwan. It has 3 medical centers, including Shuanghe Hospital, Taipei Medical University Hospital, and Wanfang Hospital. The clinical electronic medical records from the 3 medical centers have been integrated into a big research database. The name is Taipei Medical University Clinical Research Database, TMUCRD, which covering 3.8 million patients and with over 20 years. We have completed the OHDSI OMOP Common Data Model and ETL system, and we have also started to use the Atlas system at the end of 2020. Therefore, Taipei Medical University has led Taiwan to become the 6th OHDSI member state in Asia, even though we are quite young. This year, we established the official OHDSI Taiwan office with 6 core members. It's currently co-chaired by Hua Xu and me. Mark is the Dean of the Office of Data Science in Taipei Medical University. Besides, Alex is a computer scientist. Feng's specialty is health informatics. Yuda's specialty is biotech and healthcare management. And Juliana is our data scientist. We set 4 goals for 2021. First, to create an OHDSI Taiwan website. Second, to develop another 1 or 2 sites and to increase members. Third, to participate in international research projects. Fourth, to initiate the cross-national research projects. First of all, we have designed and built the basic website of OHDSI Taiwan. We also apply Google's multi-language translation system, so users can choose their own language to browse the websites. We are gradually uploading the relevant information on the websites as well. In order to promote OHDSI to more Taiwanese people and to recruit more members, up to now, in addition to our own 3 medical centers, we have also introduced OHDSI to 5 other medical centers in Taiwan, including National Taiwan University Hospital, Tong Zhonghe Hospital, Jiayi Christian Hospital, Qimei Medical Center, and Kaohsiung Chang'an Hospital. We believe that more and more members will join us in the future. The third goal is to participate in international research projects. In the past, we have joined in the anti-hypertension agent study led by Professor Yuan Lu in Yale University. And we have completed the results and successfully submitted the manuscript to an international journal. In the future, we hope to have more and more opportunity to participate in cross-national research projects, step by step. In addition to the projects from other countries, we expect to develop new cross-national research projects by ourselves as well. And we are currently planning a study on the effectiveness and the safety of target therapies and the immunotherapies of non-small cell lung cancer. The real-world evidence from multinational and multi-medical centers. And this study will be led by me and Alex. And in the future, we expect to have more friends from other countries to join us. Thanks for your listening, and we look forward to meeting all of you in the near future. Wish you all the best.